Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is Friday night. It is 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here in Southern California, Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Your place for unfiltered experience with myself, Christopher Rausch, and
Scott Goyette. You nailed it. You're 2 for 23. I like it.
You know what I did that time is I made sure that I felt like doing this, so I did that.
Yeah, instead. You did whatever the opposite was. Exactly.
That's my success for life, man. Is just like do what opposite what I think is right, and then I'm okay.
Dude, I'll be honest with you. You know, when you look at things like businesses, relationships, almost like anything that we look at and we say there's a fundamental strategy to that. I have to say, oftentimes doing the opposite of what's intuitive ends up working. I see this. I mean, teaching business, I see with my students all the time. Like, I should do this because everyone's doing it. And it's literally walk the other way and it works. And I can give you example after example after example. And even though I'm going through it going, it doesn't make sense. This way makes sense. It just does.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's how I wound up being successful in spite of being around my mom for so many years. It was like, okay, she does that. She's not happy. I got to do the exact opposite and then I'll figure it out.
There you go. Just walk the other way. Sometimes just walk the other way and do your thing and you'll be just fine.
So. Exactly. But you got to trust your whisper. You got to trust your gut. Oh, we got Randy in the house. He says, what's up, my friends? Good evening, Randy. Thank you so much for being here, brother, spending your Friday night with us. Thank you guys all for being here, whether you're watching live or on the replay. We appreciate you. And as always, go down and check out www.theunfilteredexperience.com. I can talk. I've actually just got done writing for 3 hours. I wrote over 3,000 words. And so I'm just like, I just literally got done, went and took a quick shower and was like, all right, let's have this conversation tonight. So I'm excited about it tonight. How are you doing, brother? I can't believe it's already been a week since we were already on here with Brendan.
I know. No, it's really quick. Like, again, life is fast. You got to enjoy the moments. I mean, we say it again and again, but on point. And good week. Yeah, good week. Students are doing well. It's always a gauge for me. I mean, I know you're the same way. Like, if you're impacting other people's lives, it feels good. And then that kind of helps you. And the students are doing a lot of good stuff. And I see them seeing the light where adults don't always do that. And when I see them collectively waking up, I know we're going to be all right as a whole, as humanity. So that's where I am. How about you?
I'm good. I was going to ask you a question since I've sat in on a couple of your classes and spoke to them. Have you seen a difference? I mean, I remember talking like when COVID first started happening and some of what the kids were going through. Do you see that it's kind of improving for them, for their mental health and their mental well-being?
Yeah. So, and I've said this, and I'll show this real quick. So typically if I have 36 kids in a class, 1 or 2 per semester pre-2020 would have a serious issue. A family member sick, they're sick, someone passes in the family. So something that I'm playing, therapist along in support as professor. It's been about 50% plus. So I'm getting 18 to 20 that have a real thing going on. So what I did was, what we all probably should be doing is I assumed this semester that we would have issues. Like a kid couldn't come, a kid had to go to Dallas because his family's sick or somebody's whatever, or they've got COVID. And so I built the class so that they really don't have to be there and removed a ton of stress. Wow. And so what happens is they've got to do the work, but I framed it like it doesn't matter how I did it. It's easier for them and they're learning more because they don't feel the pressure. They just are doing it in different places and getting back to me. And I think we have to be super, adjustable for all of us. Like, we've just got to realize everyone's struggling. And because of that setup for them, I feel like they're like, oh, that's a weight off my shoulders. And they're learning way more in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah, I mean, to your point, I mean, that's one of the things that I've been hearing a lot lately is the fact that, especially for the younger generation, is to be that flexible, to be able to pivot with them, provide them opportunities, and not be all business and not all, okay, this is what you got to do. I mean, to be able to understand that they have been going through their own thing for the last couple of years, and for management, especially with the Great Resignation and everything, is to be more aware of the emotional health and well-being for people. And I'm seeing that in some of the articles I'm reading as well, is that management and corporations are finally starting to see the fact that the younger generation wants that freedom. They want that ability to impact. They don't want to work a 9 to 5 and I have to sit here at my desk all day. And I'm seeing that some companies are starting to wake up to that and provide that flexibility. So that's good. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Since I know a lot of people have been struggling.
Yeah. And I see that too. I see that like in a lot of my friend groups, like C-level employee friends, where they're pissed off about a year ago saying, no one wants to work in this. And they're getting all mad. And then you keep asking the question like, well, what can you do now? Well, what can you do now? What can you do now? And the F word is coming out, flexibility. But it takes time for them to do it. And then when they see profit and functionality with flexibility, they succumb to it. But I mean, think of this. If you built a multi-million dollar empire on structure and somebody says, we're going to take away that structure and just trust us,
Yep.
not even to put, blame on them, it doesn't make sense to them. So when they see that we can still have flexibility, functionality, and profitability, it's a deep breath. They want to listen. But I mean, I'm sitting here right now just running a family and working with you and a few other people, and they've got, multi-million-dollar organizations with thousands of employees. I hear their concerns, and I love watching the communication, interaction, the growth that's coming from the friction. So it's good.
Yeah, I mean, everybody seems to be waking up and trying to sharpen their own irons in a sort of way. And that's one of the things we're going to be doing tonight. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're not prepared to take notes, please prepare to take notes, because we got a great conversation coming up with you tonight. I'm going to introduce our guest here tonight. His name is Lee Hite, and I've had the pleasure of getting to know Lee probably for about the last year. We met on Clubhouse through some mutual friends and have just been diving into conversations in different rooms that we've been in, and then ultimately starting the men's group room that we've been doing now since the beginning of last June. We did the 75 Hard project together, and we've just gotten to know one another. And I just have to tell you, and Scott, you're going to see this immediately, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the thing about what Scott and I do here on the Unfiltered Experience is really about setting a safe place that we can have candid and vulnerable conversations as men, as women, as wherever we're at in our journey, so that we can actually parlay to you guys to be able to use this in your life, and to be able to actually understand that vulnerability and being able to have those open conversations is where the healing and the growth really starts, not suppressing it, repressing it, and keeping it down and hoping, wishing, and praying that someday you guys are going to be able to deal with it. Tonight, we're going to have those candid conversations and hopefully open your eyes to a lot of different things that personally my eyes were closed to. And Scott, you and I have talked about this, the spirituality, source connection, chakras, and all the other stuff that I used to tag as my self-help fluffy bullshit has really been immensely positive in my life. And Lee and you yourself and so many others have been great in that aspect. So love to welcome to the Unfiltered Experience, Mr. Lee Hite. What's up, Lee? Welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, everybody. Doing good. And Chris just froze up on me. Okay, there you're back.
All right. I'm back. I freeze up every once in a while. I do like this. I do that. I do like that. But yeah, no, welcome to the show, brother. And just really appreciate you being here. We've had so many different great conversations. And like I said in the intro, one of the things I really admire and appreciate about you, Lee, is that in those rooms and in the conversations just between you and I, the vulnerability factor of being aware of where you're at in your journey and the desire for what it is that you want to change is remarkable. And really just, I want to give you huge kudos on that. When you think about your journey, just kind of kick off the conversation tonight, one of the things that we've been asking a lot of our guests over the last couple of years, because obviously COVID, we're just talking about that, the different ramifications of that, what's that had on our society and on ourselves. What has it meant for you for the last couple of years in your own personal growth journey to have this shift that's been happening in our world today?
Wow. Yeah. COVID hit me right between the eyes, and in the heart and everywhere else, because it was like this message from the universe that said, hey, look, everybody, y'all need to turn inside and take a look at yourselves and see what's going on. Everybody needs to take a step back, take a breath, time for a little self-examination and reset a little bit, because it's been devastating in a lot of ways for a lot of people. I mean, we don't want to discount that at all. I mean, just the pure raw loss of life and the impact that it's had on everybody, is just heart-wrenching, no doubt about that. And for the rest of us, we get to sit back and say, okay, and what does this mean for me? How do I get to look at that and look at myself? I found myself, because my ex-wife in California, and I don't know if my kids are watching. They might be watching right now. I don't know.
Hi, kids.
They could be here. I don't know yet. I found myself all of a sudden being a single dad, because my ex-wife in California is an RN, and she was working the floor in hospital in North Los Angeles County. So she was pulling 80 hours a week. Pulling doubles, work days, doing the best she could, to keep people alive. So I brought the kids out here. It was safer here in California, number one. And it was online school and all that. So all of a sudden here I am doing the single dad thing, my little apartment here working, and that's what I got to do. It was like this whole big shift. Everything changed. And looking at that in a year, and so I had them with me for about 6 months.
Wow, was that long? I didn't think it was that long, but that's crazy. Yeah,
5 to 6 months. And then they went back home, and we were still doing the whole COVID. We're in COVID now, and ultimately, I think a lot of us, or I'll speak for myself. For me, it was very much about looking inside and doing, like I said, doing a reset and saying, okay, what's going on? What does this mean for me? Where's the opportunity in this? And then 10 months ago, our mutual friend Princeton rang me up on the phone and said, hey, dude, you got to come to this Clubhouse thing. And about 2 days later, he sent me the invite. And 2 days later, I accepted the invite, got into Clubhouse, and that's, and he threw me up. I mean, we went into a room with Princeton and the resident at that time. I mean, there was that morning room that he did almost. Brought me in there, introduced me, threw me up on the stage and said, go for it, Lee. And I rambled on for 10 or 15 minutes about whatever the topic was. Said, I'm Lee, I'm out, see y'all later. Because I was working, I was at work. I pulled over in a parking lot, a Starbucks parking lot in my work van to do that. And it was fine. It was great. It was fun. And it just kind of opened the door, and everything from there has been, okay, so this is the universe telling me to re-engage in the whole spiritual part of my life, what I went to school for, and doing all that. So it's been fun. It's been fun. We've been doing the rooms on Clubhouse, been doing the stuff with you guys, writing a book, working on that. And so it's been a blast to be here with y'all. And we came in tonight to really kind of talk about connection, and that's, I think, much of what this whole COVID thing has been about, is reminding us that we are human beings and we're here on the planet together for a reason.
Right.
We all got kind of physically cut off from each other. Of course, we've got the blessings of the internet and all that going on. And I think there's a part of it where we go, okay, that's all fine and dandy, but being in person, that's a whole different game.
Oh yeah. Right.
Because what was it? 3 weeks ago or so, I got together with a couple of our mutual friends, and we went and Walt's wife came along. We went out and had lunch. Right. And we'd been talking online for a couple months, 2-3 months. And so we knew each other, but then being in person takes it to a whole other, you all of a sudden you realize there's a whole other level of connection that goes on when we're face to face, when we are in the same space together. Sure, at the level of spirit, at the level of consciousness, we're all connected. We're all one. I mean, that, consciousness is defined as intellect, imagination, and will. Throw those three together, we call that consciousness. So, and by the way, I want to give credit where credit due. A friend of mine gave me that definition this last Sunday. I was listening to her teach a class Sunday morning. I was like, oh, that's great. I love that definition. It works well. Spirit, we talk about the universe, source. I mean, it's all consciousness. It's consciousness. It's what connects us all. And at that level, proximity matters. There's, to a certain extent, proximity matters.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, there is at the level of consciousness, at the level of energy, that energetic level, right? We're all connected. We can feel that, we sense that with each other. And yes, I mean, we're talking about remote healing and the impact of meditation on spaces. You know, I think it was last week or somewhere we were having a discussion about, I think it was Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, and then doing the meditation thing, crime on the level on
Crime reduction.
Crime reduction, right? There is that. So that, I mean, that proves out that, you know, consciousness has an impact, right? So there's that collective effect. And I think for a lot of us still, I mean, depending on our own level of growth and so on, proximity matters, right? So when we're in space together, physically in the same space, we can feel that connection even deeper.
Yeah.
That's why I'm thinking about that.
Lee, I have a question for you.
Sure.
And I think it might kind of put us in a good direction to talk about exactly where you're going with the proximity and the individual work, and then working in the collective. One of the things that I've been seeing a lot of people do is one of two things. They either dismiss the inner work and they just run out into the noise, or they do the inner work, but in doing the inner work, it almost becomes a sense of narcissism by mistake, because they're doing so much inner work with me, they forget how to use it. So it'd almost be like me practicing basketball and going to the gym and shooting with no intention of ever understanding the dance of the actual game. So let's think about that, and let's have a conversation about what do we need to do or to share with people so that they can simultaneously do the inner work. And you don't need to be a Buddhist monk being very Maharishi where you're trying to change crime from here. How do I do some of the inner work, bring that practice into the tribe and into the collective, and still, I always say, extend the sense of self and still have empathy for all being seen and unseen? So again, the question, in the space of I'm doing some inner work, how can I simultaneously share the benefit from that in a healthy way? Because I think we all want that answer.
Yeah, we do. And it's for me, from where I use it, of what use is the inner work for me if I'm not out in the world sharing it, if I'm not out in the world connecting, right? Because for me, the inner work is all about my ability to go out into the world and be connected and be at peace, you know, and have good relationships because I've worked on myself. I've cleared all that up, right? Because the world I live in is always going to reflect back to me who I am. Right. So if I'm not happy with what I'm seeing, if I'm not happy with what I'm experiencing, all that begins and ends right here with my own belief systems, because the world inevitably is going to reflect back to me. And this is from, the teacher, Ernest Holmes, is the dominant tendency of my thought will always manifest itself in my world.
There, like I always find
period, end of story.
My big thing is I find one comment and I want to sit with it. Like every show, I've been doing that lately. That's it right there. I mean, listen to that. Like whoever's listening to this later, hear that comment. The dominant thought that you've got out there is just going to just amplify like a mother. It's just going to continue. And we do it without intention. We're like, well, I don't have any money. Well, I don't have any money. Well, maybe I don't want to have money. Or, well, I can't get a job. I'm not going to. And we just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And then like, why don't I have a job? Or why don't I have a relationship?
Right.
I mean, I'm hoping that people are listening now or in the future hear that loud and clear. Even if you think the focus is unintentional, you think you're healing by focusing on it. Healing is focusing on the I am in the healthy space, not the injured space. And talk about that, because so many times people are going, well, I don't have a boyfriend because people are crazy, or it's just whatever. Well, here's the deal. Why don't you just say, I am worthy of a boyfriend, a beautiful human being, and allow that just come in your life? It's word shift. Talk about that, because there's so many people who are unintentionally amplifying the negative into their world, and they don't need to be doing that.
Yeah, no, and it's absolutely right. I mean, there is a degree that we need to kind of look at those things. We look and say, okay, what are the ideas? What are the concepts? What are the beliefs I'm holding on to that are driving driving the things I don't want? I look at that, right? I look at that just long enough to do the forgiveness work I need. Yeah, I see you smiling. There's Chloe's there in the background.
Yeah, little dancing cat.
Kitty cat.
Yeah. I look at those I look at those things, those challenges, to do the forgiveness, to do the letting go, to do the clearing, and long enough to say, okay, so if I'm saying I'm not good enough, then then the opposite of that is saying, okay, I'm worthwhile, right? I am deserving of every good thing that the universe can provide for me, that'll the universe will present for me. And my eyes are open enough to say, you know what? At every turn of my day, I expect the universe to greet me with love and light and life and peace and power and beauty and joy and all these good things, because I am good enough.
Yeah.
Amen.
Because I am here, because I chose to incarnate right into this world. I'm in this point in place for a reason. We are all here on purpose. I believe we're all here on divine appointment, and there are no accidents.
So Lee, here's your new name. Our new name. You're the artist formerly known as God, taking your palette and creating this beautiful world.
Right.
There we go.
Don't give him an ego.
Been reading my posts. Yeah. Yeah.
I was just thinking of Prince, and I was just trying to twist it over and make it catchy.
Somebody was just I think Jock was trying to do that to me too. He was like, oh, you should call yourself like the guy formerly known as the No Excuses coach or something like that. And I was like, what? That's crazy you mentioned that, Scott. Just want to capture a couple of the people that are here tonight. We got Mary Kay in the house. What's up, beautiful? She says, hello out there. Hugs to you both. All three of us, right? Mary Kay, come on. Don't leave anybody out. Got Robert in the house. He says, good evening. Christopher, Scott, Randy, Jacqueline, Mary Kay, Dark. What is that? Dark and me and Jaime. Robert's been consuming helium tonight. Mary Kay says, hello. We got Jacqueline in the house. She says, hello, all you misfits. Life. Proud to be one of the crew. I am just a soul whose intentions are good. Oh, Lord, please don't let me be misunderstood. She's quoting the Bible right there. Well, the musical Bible. I don't want to piss anybody off.
The musical Bible.
Mary Kay is throwing us her blue hearts. I got Teresa from Georgia. What's up? She says, hello, guys. Happy Friday from Georgia. Hello, Teresa. Hey. Thank you for spending your time with us. Appreciate it. We got Monica in the house. She says, devastating for sure. Absolutely. We got Thomas Neese in the house. Fritz brother. He says, hey, guys, it's great to be alive. Yes, absolutely. Every single day without fail. It's great to be alive. Mary Kay says, I am grateful that the universe has connected all of us. Absolutely. I think it is divine timing. I think it is by appointment. So I agree with you. Definitely, Lee. Mark Gassard in the house from another part of Georgia. He says, greetings, oh, Canada, Robert Broker. Mary Kay says, let's see, Mark says, Mary Kay, now that's a cool name, cosmetically speaking. We got love going around here in the house. Mark says, service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. Yes. Amen. And Monica says here, yes, the inner work equips us, raises our vibrations, so we show up in the world as our most authentic selves, positively affecting the collective.
Boom.
That's the end of the show. That's the end of the show right there. Thank you, Monica. So thank you guys all for being here, whether you're live on the replay, of course, ask us questions. We appreciate the engagement most definitely. So Lee, when obviously I've known you for a long time now, I think, when you think about your journey, because I want to give people to have a form of perspective, talk to us about the journey, because you weren't always as enlightened as you are now. Talk to us about that process of becoming awoken to the different aspects of spirituality and connectedness to source. I can't talk today.
Yeah, I mean, my spiritual journey started when I was in high school, essentially. And I walked into the Church of Religious Science in Redondo Beach, California in 1975. 74.
God, I was only 3. Just kidding. So I was kidding. I was only 3.
You were only, yeah, right.
I was 6.
But that's kind of when it started, and so I got involved in the youth group there. I ended up being in leadership. It's like leadership has always been like part of my life. Everywhere I go, whatever group I end up being involved in, I end up in a leadership position. It's just what I do. And I graduated high school, college. I tried a semester of college. It just didn't go well for me. I really didn't. I felt like I was spinning my wheels. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. Coming out of high school, I had thoughts of being a minister.
Wow.
I was involved in the youth group and leadership. I mean, the philosophy really spoke to me. But I went off and did my own thing. I rebelled. A few years later, about 4 or 5 years later, I ended up living in the back of my El Camino and working as a lifeguard in Marina del Rey, California.
Nice. Chris and I were there.
City Club. Yeah, Marina City Club. Was working as a lifeguard there. My dad tracked me down. My dad and mom and my brother had moved to Seattle. My dad came down on a business trip and came and tracked me down. I'm not sure how he found me.
GPS.
It was before GPS, dude.
Oh yeah, that's right, huh?
Yeah, talking about 1983. And he came and found me. Said, "Hey, whatever happened to go to the ministerial school?" He brought the course catalog with him, put it in my hand, and said, "If you want to do this, said I promised you that I would pay your tuition, and I still will, but you've got to make the commitment to." And so at the end of the summer, I packed my stuff up and took off. Went to ministerial school. Went and did that. Graduated in '89. Spent the next 9-10 years in doing that full time in Idaho, here in Arizona, then back to Seal Beach, California, and was on the rise and was doing really well. They kept handing me things to do, beyond just being a senior minister. And I burned out. I never learned how to say yes. I had horrible boundaries. Never
learned how to say no.
Never learned how to say no. No. And I was good at what I did. And you know what happens in the corporate world, whether it's for-profit or nonprofit. The corporate world will throw things at people that get stuff done.
Oh yeah.
I burned out big. Fell into some horrible addictive tendencies that just dragged me down, and I crashed, burned, blew up my first marriage. Walked away from ministry, went into some other things, and spent the next several years just really working on my own healing process. Interestingly enough, the universe put me with all my tools and spiritual awareness. The universe put me in a job as a chimney sweep. And what a metaphor for what I was working on. Really,
cleaning out the junk,
cleaning out the crap, man. Just cleaning out. I mean, spending some time in the dark, cleaning out the crap. That's a lot of solo work. Working as a chimney sweep is a lot of work by yourself, and you spend a lot of time by yourself doing that. So there's a lot of time to think.
So you've done a lot of the inner work. You've spent time sharing with others. You've looked at different ways that people dive deep, and oh my goodness, there's so many right now. I mean, everyone seems to be, I don't know if it's competition or everyone seems to think that they're the enlightened one who wants to share what they see. But I'll ask you a question that, I mean, is a really hard question, and it's much simpler than my last one, less words. What do you think of religion, and do you think it actually serves humanity in a good way in bringing us together?
Ooh.
I think religion held in responsibly, for me, religion responsibly handled is a great thing.
What about for the masses right now, where we're at in this point in our collective right now? Is religion helping or hurting us to collectively awaken and be more united or more aware?
To the degree that a religion holds itself as the one and only way, no. To the degree that religion is held lightly as a way, not the one and only way, but maybe the way for me, and where I hold and respect other faiths and say, you know what, if that's working for you, great. I used to stand up on Sunday morning when I was working full time and say, I am so thrilled that you are here. And if at some point this is not serving you, this place is not serving you, this teaching is not serving you, I hope you find a place that does.
So how do we, because you said something beautiful, and I think that most people who have animosity towards religion, it's the exact point that you just made. And when I say most, I'm being very anecdotal in my own experience, but I will say this: when I hear people make comments against religion, it's they're trying to make me, or they're pushing this on me. So how can we, because listen, my wife is, she grew up Jewish. So, you're hearing the chosen one, or, through Christ, you can only come through me to go to the Father. So we're hearing these religions saying one way, my way or the highway. I'm going to give you, it almost sounds like the start of a joke. My coaching group right now, I have a Christian, a Muslim, and a Jew in there. Like we should just all walk into a bar and see what comes up, right? But if you could see this group, the funniest thing I'm starting to find out is the people who do best with the coaching, and I would have never guessed this, are the people who are most deeply tied to a religion. So they have a pathway. They're trying to make sense of it. It's happening more and more. So if I can see that on an individual level, and they can look at me and I have none of the beliefs that they have, and we find tons of love and growth together to look inside and share our gifts with the outside, how can we collectively get others, not force anybody? What do we need to do as individuals to break away from my way or the highway? Like, what can we tell people? What can we do? What can we show? How do we share our light to be that? Because I think we want that. I want to hear your differences. I want to respect them and get excited. I just don't want them to be rammed down my throat. When I say you, I mean anybody.
Yeah, no. And that's exactly it, Scott. We have the best thing I think we can do is to live our own. Right. And we live our own as, living love, living light, being open, loving, accepting, expressing ourselves in a loving and open and accepting way. It's like the old thing where we talk about, agreeing to disagree. If I hold myself as being willing to agree to disagree and to have an open, honest, and candid conversation, I will attract people who will do the same. And if I model it and I live it, that's the best I can do, right? And if somebody comes at me from another angle, just not resist and just turn and say, okay, no, you're not going to get me. No, you're not going to get me. It's that Aikido thing, right? Where I take that energy and let it pass by me, right? I use their energy to just kind of distract, deflect, move aside. I'm not going to engage. If they're looking for a fight, I'm not going to engage. Not going to.
I love the second nugget you just gave us, saying that your energy of not putting that out there will attract that energy. That's another good point to sit with, because when you go on social media and you might have a feeling, you're going to find more of that feeling, whether it's through algorithms or through your own energy. It's going to come to you. So, one of the things that I did, and I was saying to Chris, and it was hard to do it, is unfollow or block a few people or get rid of certain friends who are constantly bringing that noise, so that I could get into a different energy space. Because I think eventually you attach to those things and they're going to keep showing up, and it's hard, because you want to address the triggers and learn and heal from them, but simultaneously there's certain aspects from people that I just am not willing to listen to. What do you think about that? Because
yeah, we all have that option, right? We all have that choice. And I've started attracting a few of those, and I just kind of let them go. I just kind of go unfollow, just block, whatever. I'm just not going to engage it.
Yeah,
I don't have time for it. I don't have time for it. I don't have to put up with it. I'm at choice, right?
Toleration. Yeah, I agree.
We're all at choice, and about who. When they're ready, they come back around. They want to engage at a different level. I'm ready to do that. But right now it's like, no, not going to do it.
I love that. So Lee, when you think about your journey and you talked about cleaning out the chimney and cleaning out the dark stuff, what part of identifying and really dealing with any guilt or shame that you had in your past, what process did you go through in trying to really uncover that and deal with that? Because I know a lot of people now, it seems like people are really, what I'm finding now is, before we were talking a lot about empathy and forgiveness, but now I'm finding that one of the key triggers that people are dealing with is buried guilt. Did you experience any of that in your journey and have to process that?
It's like, there's a lot of it. I mean, and it's not over, dude. It's not over. I just went through. I went through just a 3-month, really rough 3-month patch. Where I found myself involved in a relationship that was extremely unhealthy. And with somebody who was also very conscious. And it's like, you'd have thought we knew better, to be quite honest. Both of us very intelligent, very, but it wasn't that, and it's fine, and we're still friends, and we still, love and care and support each other, just not at that level, right? And it took a while. to distanced, and now we're just kind of back to, okay, we're friends, and this is okay. We can care about and support each other.
Boundaries.
It was that brought up a whole deeper wave of stuff for me to look at in terms of my own recovery process and how I am in relationships, who I am in relationships, and what that's all about for me. And so,
dinner time. We got to go, guys. Dinner time. Let's do it.
That's my mom.
I heard the bell.
God bless, dog. I'm in.
Yeah. Mom, who didn't want a smartphone. But the shame, guilt, angst, forgiveness of self, all that stuff, man. And it just was a whole deeper level that I had to go through. And now that I'm on the other, or I shouldn't say the other side, other side to a degree, there's still more work to do. And Chris, you've heard me say this before. Until we turn pink and ascend, right? There's still work to be done.
Always.
Right? Where as long as we're here on the planet, there's still work to be done. So no hurry, per se, but day by day, moment by moment, as stuff arises for me to look at, as stuff arises for me to address, in that same process. Okay, these are the beliefs that have held me back. How do I move through them? Do I need to forgive? Do I need to let go? What do I need to learn from this? And what is the spiritual truth on the other side of that? So from fear to love, right? We talk about fear and love, right? So we've got that choice. We've got doubt and faith. I talk about these aspects of consciousness, or these aspects of God. These are the ones that I hold, right? Love, light, life, peace, power, beauty, joy, health, prosperity. These are the things, right? I look at all those and say, these are the qualities of God that I want to embrace. These are the qualities of spirit, of life that I want to embrace, right? I want to embrace to whatever extent I can, right? And allow that to grow. And the way I allow that to grow is to give attention to these things, not so much to the negative side, to the downside, to those things that draw me back. But these qualities are the things that lift me up. So when I look at, my past and the things that I'm not happy with about that I have done, right? When I look back at those and I start beating myself up about them, I start, worrying about and fretting about them, right? Those things. What are those things that wake me up in the middle of the night and the gerbils grab a hold of in my brain and they start chewing on them, right?
Right.
What are those things in my head? Those are the things that I want to let go of, right? So those things are it's like a bag of rocks tied to a piece of rope wrapped around my waist that's holding me back as I'm trying to go uphill. So what are those rocks? What are those rocks in the bag? What are those things in my history that are holding me back? Those things I go, man, I wish I hadn't done that. Or, wow, dad did this, or mom did this, or my friends in high school did this, or I was picked on in middle school. They called me names when thus and such happened, right? What are all those things? I need to just dump them. I need to open the bag, look at them and say, are you serving me? No, then you're out.
So you just said something else, all right, that I want to go after right now because it was beautiful, and I want to make sure people don't miss the gold nuggets. One of the things that I have a real serious issue with religion is the lack of heaven on earth, and I just have to accept that I'm a sinner and I'm a faulty being, and I'm going to go somewhere because I said I'm sorry. And so you just said the inverse of that, and I want people to listen to it. You were talking about saying God qualities, I want to take them into me, which means I'm hearing your perspective. You recognize you're a perspective point of source. You're a fractal of God. You're a fractal of creator. So you're just clearing the lenses to see that and bring that in. So why are more people, or how do we get people to get excited about the concept of heaven on earth? Because here's the deal. The only difference between us and source is recalling. We're remembering. So when you recognize, I would like to have more integrity, you don't have to sit here and pray. Just download the shit. I mean, like literally, like right now, I've been doing this, like, and Chris has noticed I've disappeared for a while. What I'm doing is I'm downloading exactly what you're saying, like a madman. And then I'm putting it into practice with real humans. I go places, I touch people, I hug people, I connect with people, I listen to people with my new skill set that's more creator focused. So what do we need to do, or is it possible to get people who are thinking this world is some training ground for heaven, instead of saying, I bring that space to me, or is there a way to do that?
Yes. Love that.
Thank you, Christopher.
So here's what we do, because last Friday I was listening as I was driving down out of the mountains last Friday, and I'm sitting there going, yes, 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 but I couldn't talk because it kept cutting in and out. Anyway, we make it harder than it needs to be, Scott.
I can't agree more.
We really do. And you are absolutely right. And I say this all the time. I mean, whether we talk about it as from a certain point, yeah, it's absolutely cleaning the window, cleaning the windshield, getting all that negative, limiting stuff out of the way, and just saying, you know what? God is, spirit is, source is, pick your pronoun, right? Is love, light, life, peace, power, beauty, joy, harmony, health, wholeness, peace, name it. Name the good stuff, right? Anything that is life-giving, life-affirming, life-expanding, that is it. For me, it begins and ends with love. Love as the givingness of, as the creative process through us. Boom. That's it. Begin and end. Start with that as fundamental source. We connect with that. We say, yes, because God is, spirit is, source is, and that is all there is, beginning and end. I am one with that. Therefore, I am that, and it expresses through me right here, right now, in this moment, to the degree that I can embrace it, accept it, and allow it to express through me.
I as I heard, you just actually gave a great way for people, I think, to do it. People have a big problem when we, like, if you're somebody who is very religious, and for me to say I am a fractal of God, or like, oh, you saying you God? It's like, stop. What you just said is actually a simpler way to get there. Tell me what God is. And you would say love, light, empathy. Okay, now this then. Don't say you're God. Mm-hmm. I am empathy. I am love. I am unconditional forgiveness. Whatever it is, just say that and program your subconscious mind with that. That's the lens remover. There's your clarity. Heaven on earth.
Here's the thing, right? So you can eat, and I'm going to get, there's a formula. And I talked about this because I spoke a couple Sundays back, 2-3 Sundays back in church. And I gave them this formula, right? It says, God is, I am, I have, thanks, bye now, right?
Say that again.
God is, or it is, say it is, I am, because it is, I am, and because it is and I am, I have, right? Thank you, because we always have to express gratitude, and then we let it go. We say, okay, bye now, or as our friend Mary Kay likes to say, or I said, I think that during that same talk, just hit send on the email, right? So we're sending the email out to the universe, you just hit send, right? So because God is love, I am love, I express love, and I'm that grateful for the love in my life. It's done.
Sold. Easy. I'm in.
And so that's
Where do I sign up?
And here's the little secret about the secret, right? That formula has been around for over 100 years.
Forever. Yeah. Probably longer than that. I mean, like
Probably
in different linguistics. I'm sure it went from Arabic to Greek to, modern speak, but yeah.
Back to Aramaic. I mean, if you look at the
Aramaic, I meant. Yeah, not Arabic.
If you look at the Lord's Prayer from a certain perspective, you can kind of structure, it's all in there in one piece or another. And that was all based on, Judaism, and Judaism has its roots way back. I've done all that. Anyway, none of that truly matters at this point. What matters is what's happening right here, right now in front of us. Right.
That's the best thing. That's the best thing.
We can do all the historical stuff. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just want to make sure I capture some of these comments as we take a break here. Have a drink. Let's see. Jacqueline says here, life played me for years. I got sick of playing and fought back. Absolutely. Mary Kay says, beautiful answer about religion, Lee. Absolutely. Monica says, in simple forms, be love. Absolutely. Got our boy Jacques in the house. Had a great conversation with him earlier. He was on our show recently. What's up, boys? He says, you're all amazing souls. Love you guys. And let's see what else we got. Monica says here, what we resist persists. And that kind of goes along with what we were talking about before, is like, where energy goes, where focus goes, energy flows. And I think that's a key indicator as well of what we want. Mary Kay says here, the universe has the best AI and algorithms. Absolutely. We were talking about divine timing and connection. Jacques here says, love in life is first and foremost. Self-love, love for one another will open your entire being to endless possibilities. Yes. And you guys didn't see the conversation with Jacques. You need to go back and watch that, because that statement was not something he would have said back in the old days. Let's just say that, right? Monica says here, polarities always exist. We get to choose. Absolutely. And I showed this before, but Mary Kay was initiating a mic drop on what was being shared here before. So thank you, Mary Kay. Jacques goes on to say, life is simple, connect, love, and communicate. Yes. We make life more difficult than it needs to be. We've cleared that up. That's so true. Jacqueline says here, priorities, man, we get to choose what we want, accept, or what we to let go. We are the captain of our ship. No one else is. We get to pick and choose what we want out of life. Absolutely, Jacqueline. Thank you so much for being here and sharing that. Mary Kay says, yes, I just press send. Yes, just press send. So in thinking about this conversation, Lee, and you kind of mentioned it before, in our journeys, in our paths, a lot of what sometimes can actually screw us up is that we get to that moment where we want that clarity and we kind of want to see what's on the other side of the things that we've been carrying along with us. But then addictions come into play. That short-term gratification, that serotonin, dopamine release of what it is we get to do. Talk to us about that, because I know you've been very public in some of the challenges you had. When we get to that spot, what can you recommend for people to be able to shift their focus on wanting that short-term gratification versus doing that long-term work to better themselves overall?
Amazing question.
Yeah. I mean, it's a powerful question. I mean, and I'm sure we all deal with addiction to one degree or another.
Mm-hmm.
Every last one of us. It's just a matter. The difference is over it. Absolutely, and I've been public about that. And I only got the courage to be public about it in the last 6 months. Really?
Wow.
7 months. Yeah. Let's see. January, March, April. I think it was May. In May, I was in a clubhouse room and on addiction, and it was questioning. questioning addiction, and I came out. I was like, because I was just so frustrated that they were questioning whether or not, anyway. So yeah, so that's what happened. And it's like, okay, well, now it's out there. So here we go. And that's part of recovery. Part of recovery is being willing to come out and be public so that maybe somebody else, who needs help can reach out. And here's the thing that we do. The thing that we do is we become conscious. We wake up to what our addiction is. We wake up to what our triggers are. We talk about in recovery, talk about hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Those are kind of the those are the 4 big ones. Halt, right? And we ourselves, heading down that path, we develop tools to do that. For me, it's like, okay, I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling like I'm going to act out. I go to the gym.
Yep.
Right? I replace it with a healthy thing. And what I noticed, over time, right, as long as I'm regular about being in the gym, that's feeding that, we get the same hit from working out that we get from engaging in the addiction.
You and I had talked about that. You said after 75 hard, you're like, hey, I'm kind of missing that. I might get back in there. And like the next day you're like, oh dude, that was the shit right there.
Right. It was absolutely. And when I'm regular and doing about hitting the gym, about doing making the healthy changes, making the healthy choices, my tendency or my desires to get out and act out, way down.
Mm-hmm.
Way down. Because from and this goes back to kind of basic metaphysics, a lot of metaphysical, teachers, spiritual addiction rises up out of a repressed desire to express ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So to the degree that we are holding back our own true nature, when we're holding back against that, we're holding back about, repressing ourselves, manifests itself as addictive tendencies. Whether it's alcohol, drugs, sex and love addiction, food addiction, all of them. It's about unexpressed life.
So what does that mean to you? Because I've been talking to a lot of people, including my wife and I. We've been talking about the same thing and I love this. I love you hit a point where you're 27 years in and you're like, okay, are we in a routine? Are we just doing the same old thing? On the outside, we look great. We got great resumes. Everything looks good. We travel together. We smile. We can dance together. It looks pretty. But what are we feeling? And so we've been trying to say, what is it that's making us stone cold in certain ways? And we've been rekindling certain passion and things in different places and exploring newness because we had our little addictions. Things aren't working. I go play basketball for 4 hours. I come home too tired to bitch about anything. So I just go to sleep. But does that mean I'm an athlete or does that mean I'm a serious addict just avoiding other escape mechanisms? She'll do her yoga.
Yeah. So it's like what? That. Yeah. So now to that level, you swapped addiction, right?
100%. And that's what I think too many of us tend to do. I think it's a good thing to go to the 75 hard as we explore what's underneath that. So we start the healing process. And I guess my thing is, I love what you said about really seeing if there's a place I haven't lived life. That's a scary thing. Because what if you, I don't know, whatever your thing is, like you have to go look at yourself and say, am I being what I'm really supposed to be here? And if you're in a structure that's not conducive to what you're supposed to be, are you ready to tear that identity and foundation down? And very few people are.
Right. And Chris, 25 hard, and I quit smoking at the same time. And I absolutely knew that quitting smoking was going to bring stuff up.
Oh, yeah.
Because smoking is such a metaphor. I mean, physically smoking is such a metaphor for hiding out, keeping ourselves separate, keeping myself away from the world. Blah, blah,
I loved it when you said that, by the way. That was so critical.
It is, God. And I looked at the pattern, when I went through that whole thing in the fall, I looked at that. I said, you know what? The smoke between the smoking, the 75 hard, I mean, the increased attention I had given to my spirituality, my spiritual practices, and all that stuff, and really giving attention to all that. You know, there's an old New Thought, New Age metaphor about the glass of water, because you have a glass of water with sediment in the bottom. So you've got, you know, an inch of sediment. And the way sediment builds up, you've got the lighter stuff on the top and the heavier stuff at the bottom, right? So you've got this glass of water with just clear water in it. You consciousness into that. So new ideas, new awareness, giving more focus to all of that. You start stirring all that up. And so you got the light stuff, you just kind of look at that and it kind of flows out. But you start pouring more in there, you start getting the heavy stuff, and that's the stuff you've got to look at. That's the deeper stuff. You know, people start talking, you know, they start talking about dark night of the soul and spiritual awakening and all that. And I'm just like, okay, you know, you're just dealing with stuff, man. It's stuff. You get to look at it. You say, okay, do I need to hold on to this? Need to let it go? What do I need to learn? Do my journaling, do some meditation, talk to somebody, you know, talk to somebody like me or Chris or Scott or whoever your mentor of choice is to help you walk through it. That's how we get through it, right? We say, okay, what do I need? Where is it I want to go? You know, in your case, Scott, you're talking about, you know, your relationship with your wife. You're like, where do you want to go? What do you want it to look like? Number one. Number two, what's the first step? You don't have to have this huge plan, right? We just need the first step, because as we all know, we can have this great long plan, 4 or 5 stuff for grabs, because we don't know what's going to happen as the outcome for that first step and how it might change all the rest of it.
I like the idea of many first steps, because that's exactly what I was throwing in the creation of like the newfound view. I said, well, first of all, as a first step is we need to embrace awareness. So if as we're making some shifts and we get triggered, instantly go to communication and talk about that trigger. So Does she do something? I'm like, here she goes again, or this is just like before, nothing's changed. That's a reaction from the subconscious mind. Let's sit and talk about it. And we've done that multiple times over the last few weeks, had conversations where we walked through that. And then there was this weird energy clearing, like you're saying, where we were like, I feel like we're kids again. I'm like, that's the point. We're removing the fluffy negative energy that's been stagnancy. We're going back to curiosity and wonder. And we're literally going to start our 50th year. She'll be 50 next year. So like we'll be 50. And the next 50 years of our existence is just a new state of childlike wonderment. Now, the cool thing is, now we get to add wisdom and the ability to walk, and no one's babysitting us. We're not kids anymore. And we're financially stable. So now we can do everything as a kid with the wisdom of an adult. And I don't know why more people don't do that. So like tomorrow, we're going to go do ecstatic dance. I don't know if I want to go to ecstatic dance because my subconscious mind said that's not for me. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have fun at ecstatic dance. I'm just kind of saying it's not what I typically do, but I'm sure it's going to be a great time.
Sure.
Should I take mushrooms or should I just go regular?
And give yourself the freedom.
Shrooms.
Yeah, give yourself the freedom to enjoy it. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Get out of your own BS that I don't know if it's for me.
Right. I mean, I know I'd probably be a little anxious about going to do something called ecstatic dance myself, but you know, I'm
going to figure it out. I'm going to throw on a toga or whatever I'm supposed to do and eat what I'm supposed to eat and drink my cacao and start going crazy.
Take video. Right? I want to see video. I want to see video of it. But yeah, I mean, get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, that's all it is. That's the joke. The joke is get out of your comfort zone, do something new, and worst thing that happens is not for you and you tried it.
Right. Absolutely.
Amen.
Go have fun,
boys.
That's the thing. Go have fun with it. And this is one of the big beefs I have with the whole spiritual growth phenomenon, right? Is yes, we have our serious moments. Yes, we have our times when we need to focus and give it attention. But hey, if we're not having fun, why bother?
Doesn't bring you joy? I was just telling my coaching client the other day, I'm like, does it bring you joy? Yes or no? She's like, well, and I'm like, yes or no? And she's like, no. Then I said, get rid of it. Why are you hanging on to it?
That's it.
Well, I'm going to take a fucking picture of it. Let it go. If it doesn't bring you joy, move on. It's so many people hang on to that shit like it's a badge of honor. Like, oh, because I'm doing this and I have to do this and I have to do this. Like, well, if you died tomorrow, who's going to fucking do it? Oh, well, yeah, exactly. You know, you got to figure it out. But man, this has been a massively informative conversation. Definitely need to have you back here on the show, Mr. Lee. We try to keep the show to an hour, and I just want people to know where they can get a hold of you, because now you're coaching and you're teaching people how to walk through this process independently. And I know that you offer a complimentary coaching session. So what are some final thoughts for you? Because I know the intention tonight was to really talk about connection to self and connection to others. What would you want to say to everybody if you had a microphone to the entire world to be able to talk about what everybody's going through right now and what they can do to connect to self and connect to others, irregardless of what their voting beliefs are and everything else?
Love yourself first and reach out to others and love them. Right? I want to be, to the degree that I'm connected in here is the level that I'm going to be able to connect out here. Right? It's all reflective. It's all responsive, right? My world will be to me as I am to me.
Yes.
Right? You want to reach out to me, find me on Instagram, Simple Spirit 101. I'm sure we've got that. I don't know, we got that link. There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
Say it again for the people who are listening on the podcast.
There is a link to my Calendly, and you can make an appointment for a 1 hour freebie. The first one's free. After that, we talk about it. I work on a sliding scale. I will never turn anybody away because they can't pay, because they can't pay what my standard fee is. You know, I just don't do it. People want help. People want support. We'll work it out. I'll make it happen. I will make it work.
And actually your Calendly right here is, I put it on here. So it's calendly.com/simple spirit 101, all one word. So again, for you guys listening on the podcast, calendly.com/simple spirit 101. And of course, at Instagram at simple spirit 101. And then of course, they can connect with you on Facebook, which is facebook.com/Lee.Hite1, the number 1, right?
Yep. That's me. Oh,
awesome.
Look. Hey, Laura Ann, how are you? I haven't seen you in like some of my old friends from Dallas.
What's up, Laura Ann? Thank you for being here. Thank you. All right, my brother, we're going to put you backstage, but don't go anywhere. Yeah. Don't go anywhere, because Scott and I want to have a word with you afterwards, but we're going to round out the show here for a second. But brother, thank you so much for being here on the Unfiltered Experience. Don't go anywhere. There we have it, Mr. Scott David Goyette. A brilliant conversation. I knew you were going to connect with Lee. There's so many different other places we could have gone, but I know you jumped out at a couple of nuggets. What was for the conversation with you? What would you like to reinforce with the people who are listening and watching this now?
Yeah, I mean, where your mind goes is where your focus goes, is going to become your reality. I really wanted to sit on that space because I know there's a struggle right now, and I think Lee gave some great tips on what to do. As you're doing the inner work, make sure that you're taking what you're learning. In other words, you don't have to sit in the inner work for 2 years to become a Buddhist monk and then go, here's what I've learned. It's just like school. You don't have to graduate with a PhD to go talk about history or talk about like what you've learned. So the same thing, if you took a test today and you want to share, do it. If you had it in the moment, share it. So keep doing the work, but don't do it just to say I'm becoming something amazing. Do it for that connection. Your enhanced ability, beautifully worded. I am empathy. I am love. All the pieces of God, pull those into you, become those, and start sharing those with others. That's what we need to do as humans. Lee explained it perfectly. That's all I got. I mean, I'm doing it. I'm doing what I'm saying right now. I'm going to go leave here and share some more empathy. I'm going to become love. I'm going to be it, and I'm going to share it. So Lee's doing it. You do it. We got it.
Nice. That's beautiful. It's beautiful, man. I couldn't agree more. I want to capture a couple of more comments before we hit the pull the plug on this one. Let's see where we would leave at. Yes. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us tonight. He says, step into the extra tick comfort zone. The extra tick comfort zone. What's that? Am I missing something? You have to explain yourself, but yes, definitely. I mean, of all things, step into being uncomfortable, get used to being uncomfortable, because that's where the growth and that's where the challenge goes. So most definitely, Mary Kay says his curiosity chapter is the best. Yes. I mean, honestly, and speaking of what she just said and what you were saying, get back to the place where I transpose it into believing is, the sooner we get back to our childlike state, the sense of curiosity, the sense of wonder, the sense of adventure, the sense of not being afraid of things, that for me is the quickest way that I can identify about getting close to God's source creator. Is that's the way I was born. I was born, with a clean slate, a sense of adventure and everything else. And I think that's the best way I can get back to being a great representation of God's source and creator. So that's what speaks to me. Monica says here, after ecstatic dance, Scott, I invite you the next time to have passionate moments, look deeply into each other's eyes.
So we did that this morning, and my kid almost caught us. So I'll explain that later. But yeah, it was a little awkward. But thank you for sharing. When you said that, I started laughing because I was like, okay.
Oh my God,
we're working on all that stuff.
I want to hear about that. Robert says here, thank you, Christopher, Scott, and Lee. Thank you, Robert, so much for being here and sharing your wisdom as well. Laura Ann, thank you again for tuning in and checking us out. If you didn't get a chance to see the whole entire thing, go back and see the replay. But thank you for being here and spending your time with us. Monica says here, you rock, Lee. Yes, he 100. Does. Definitely. Jacqueline says, thanks, Lee. Andrew says, thanks all. And Mary Kay says, guys, that was incredible. The chemistry between the three of you together. Wow. Thank you, Mary Kay. You are an angel here on earth, talking about heaven here on earth. Having people like that in your life is truly remarkable. So thank you, Mary Kay. Monica says, let me know how that works, Scott. And
started working.
Jacqueline says, thank you all, very appreciated. Oh, he's talking about ecstatic. Okay. So he's going back to, let me go back to that one. Let's see, where was that? Where was that comment? I'm just like, Andrew, step into the ecstatic dance comfort zone, I'm guessing.
There you go.
Yes. I mean, for me, when I think about, the summation of this conversation is to be open, right? So oftentimes we go through life like this and we don't want to face the truth of where it is we are in our journey. But the sooner we do that, I was just talking about this the other night, the sooner we do that, the sooner we open our eyes and awaken to the fact that there is stuff that we need to clear out, some guilt, shame, empathy, and forgiveness. When we start to be awakened to that, for me, as I release that stuff, Scott, I find myself having so much more space for that love and empathy, not only for myself, but for so many other people, that I'm not carrying around that baggage. And I've really dug to the root and continue to dig to the root to figure out why it is that sometimes I have the decisions and the opinions that I do. But again, I mean, that's what we do and we bring to the show every single week, is the fact that as we continue to open our eyes and explore, the different aspects of life that are out there, it becomes more and more beautiful, and it doesn't become so scary, and it doesn't become so tragic. The fact that, if we just face our situations and we go towards them and we have the right people in our life, the amount of growth that we get to experience and the amount of love that we get to give to the people that we truly love just expands more and more. So that's what I got for the conversation. And I just appreciate you, both you and Lee, because you guys have been instrumental in me being able to understand a lot of the stuff that I didn't want to understand before. When I talked about the self-help fluffy bullshit, it was like, okay, you guys fucking keep that shit. That's weird, awkward. That's uncertain. I don't know what the hell that is, but to your credit, especially, the conversations that we've had in doing the Go Love Now stuff, has really opened my eyes. So thank you for that. And I'm also appreciative to Lee as well. And I just constantly just continue to ask questions and to grow. And, that's what we want for you guys out there in listener land. So again, join us every single week here at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the Unfiltered Experience. We are here every single week, whether it's Scott and I flying solo or we have a guest. We run a range of different topics and conversations. So if you have somebody that you would love to have on the show, by all means, message me or Scott and let us know. And we'd love to have them on the show, have a conversation. If there's a particular subject matter that you haven't seen us talk about, or you'd like us to delve into a little bit deeper, by all means, let us know. I mean, go to the unfilteredexperience.com, join our Facebook group. We love to engage with you guys there. You guys are our Unfiltered crew, our family, and we appreciate you guys all being here live or on the replay. And with that, we will see you guys next week. This is the Unfiltered Experience. I am Christopher Rausch, and that is
Scott Goyette, and he nailed it twice in one day. Make sure you go out and share the unfilteredexperience.com. We want more beautiful people just like you. They won't be you, but it'll be more than you. It'll be all you and your people. We love you guys.
Yes, we love you. Take care. Be cool.